Hey, grateful day, y'all. So, in today's podcast episode, I want to share with you how I was able to create a system in a day in terms of me working in flow. And so, I want to talk about how I got my whole week together in less than 12 hours on a Sunday. And so, I am literally simply documenting what happened as I'm recording this yesterday this episode was not part of my content plan, but after my day was over, I just realized how much of transformation happened so swiftly. And I had to share this with the community, because we have been having all of these internal DM and in our coaching community conversations around holding a lot, being women, being service providers, being at capacity, maneuvering through different roles, wearing different hats throughout the day, and it becomes very exhausting. And so, because I know that I'm not the only one who has been feeling flustered, overwhelmed, like I said, at capacity, life is lifing, and that anything can throw you off. At least that's my story, including my own mood. I've really been noticing something around myself lately, which is why I'm sharing this today, is that I cannot keep trying to force myself into a container that no longer fits anymore. All right. So if that speaks to you, then tap into this podcast episode. I'm going to break this up like a little mini book. So think about this as your audible for the day, or maybe you want to break it up for the next couple of days. And I really want you to listen to this timeline. And I want you, if you are listening to this on the audio podcast, you can head over to YouTube and I will put the video link in the description box. And that is our hub in terms of having a community conversation. I would love to hear your takeaways for different segments. Okay. And so, first chapter is called What I've Been Experiencing Lately. And so, for the last few months, I have been dealing with some physical back issues. Okay. For the last couple of years, which is no secret to my podcast, I've also been dealing with a lot of shifts in my mood, my energy, what I do or don't feel like doing that used to bring me joy, especially in business. I'm also someone who thrives off of lists, like to-do lists. I like structure. I definitely am a personality type A. If you are into human design, I'm also a manifesting generator. And so I like knowing what I'm doing. I like knowing what's coming up next. But there are days, if we can keep it real, that I wake up and I'm just not simply in the mood. Nothing is wrong. I love my life. I love my business. I love my clients. I love my family. But it literally feels like, this is the way that I describe it to my family members, someone has came into my body and they sucked all the air out. That's how I feel. Like my energy gone, depleted. And I don't know what happened, right? And so that's how I described it to my inner circle. And that's something that I have been going through for at least the last 2 years. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it impacts how I show up. So the next chapter, the shift that I made from these changes is, instead of fighting that I just described, like the ups and downs, I start telling myself, when I am in flow, when I do have energy, I need to act on it. I don't need to question it. I don't need to slow it down. I don't need to slow down and make sure that this list is all in order. I don't need to say, let me save this for tomorrow. Absolutely not. Because when I feel good, I need to move. Let me know if I'm talking to you right now, or maybe that's something that needs to be your key takeaway. When the energy hits, strike it like it's gold, okay? All right. So next chapter, let's talk about the Sunday setup. Real life, literally, that happened unplanned yesterday. Okay. So my husband went to a brunch with his guy cousins for a birthday. My youngest son outside playing for the whole day. I love it. We got the little baby a PlayStation for his birthday, maybe because he is mostly, here all the time by himself, because his older brother is here like half of the time. Maybe because he doesn't have a sibling to play with all the time. He doesn't play it a lot, but we ain't arguing. Social skills, 1000% of this house. So he actually loves being outside with his friends, learning how to be independent. Now, in the same day, my eldest son, because my husband is gone, is doing what teenagers do. He either is in his room, he's on the phone, he's on his video game, or he's in and outside of his house, also hanging out with his friends. And so needless to say, your girl had a lot of space pretty much the whole day. the whole day at around 11 a.m. But I started before then because of my morning setup, which I'll get to in the next chapter. So I had a quiet space. I had a no pressure space. And that's really important, especially if you are the person who has a lot of hats in your house, or at least the hats are thrown to you in your house. Parents, you know what I'm talking about. Kids got their little favorites in their certain seasons, mom or dad, grandma, whatever. And so Sunday is typically our spiritual, but also let's get the tone for the week in our spirit. And so because today was, or that day was really chill, it definitely set me up in the morning to take full advantage of what I'm about to share with y'all, my flow. So Sunday morning, I do not set any alarm clocks on Sunday. I prefer myself to just automatically wake up when my body wants to wake up, and my body still wakes up early. I woke up still around 7 when on the weekday, it's supposed to wake up at 6. I did lay in a bed for a little bit. My back was not hurting because I'd already went to the doctor for that, got my medication for that on Saturday. But I did get up and I made myself go to the gym. And so when I went to the gym, I already had felt that I had no decision fatigue. That is key. I don't know about y'all, but with all the decisions that are thrown at me or that I take on as an entrepreneur, as a parent, as a wife, it is exhausting. And so before I went to the gym, the week before, I had already planned a workout that I wanted to continuously do, like leg day, upper body day, and just increase my weights maybe every 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Because I've also learned that I don't like thinking in the gym, specifically about what I'm about to do in the gym, because that brings up decision fatigue for me. It helps me have a rhythm in the gym so I can also get in because I love working out and then I get out. So I already knew walking in the gym that day, I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was focused on, leg day, and I was tracking my weights. I also decided to take it easy, of course, because of my back, but my energy was up. So I'm like, I got to figure something out. And so I paid attention to all of this. Now, this is where it really gets into a nugget called habit stacking. If you haven't heard of habit stacking, that is when you do more than one thing at a time that helps you be more, air quotes, more productive in maybe a given hour or a certain block of time. So before I left the house to go to the gym, outside of my workout already being in place, I chose what I was going to listen to. So literally visual, as I'm brushing my teeth, I grab my phone. I don't want to doom scroll. I go straight to YouTube. At first I go to the audio podcast and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. Even if I'm not looking at the screen, I just like to know that the screen is there because I sometimes like to see somebody in their movement talking to me, right? So I typed in certain people's names. I wanted something that was inspirational, motivational, and also spiritual because it's still on Sunday. So I chose what I was going to listen to. I did not just, go to the gym and just scroll. I knew what kind of energy I wanted to have while I was at the gym to set up my Sunday because Sundays for me are day one of my week. I also knew that I needed to listen to something that was going to prepare me for the person I need to become in my week. So like I said, I found a audio only video on YouTube. I truly believe that if you want a good day, you must tap into either your own voice, record yourself, or listen to something else, or state your affirmations, but you should listen to something that's going to feed the person that you are becoming that day. Okay. So next chapter, after the gym, came home after an hour good workout. I walk to the gym. It's in my community. I do on a habit, schedule, cook me almost the exact same breakfast that is protein based. And I also made a breakfast for my son. He came downstairs. Now, parents, one thing that you want to remember is that when you have other people, humans, come into play, I don't care how much you're on track, it distracts you. My son is a beautiful distraction, but at the end of the day, when I'm in flow, I try to stay in that state. So he's typically really quiet, pretty chill in the morning. He got his iPad, watching cartoons, and I made his breakfast because the goal was when both of us sit down, we can just both be in our little flow state. But eventually I know he's going to ask me to go outside or go somewhere. Okay. So I sat down and I made sure that I chose that time to eat and write down my abundance list, not a to-do list, but an abundance list. My list is not long. So let me share my abundance list. I don't overload what I need to get done for the week or for the day. I also make sure that if I am, for example, listing out what I need to do on particular days, that I don't also mix in too many categories. So for example, I don't list for Monday, I need to record a podcast and edit the podcast and then also do like 3 coaching sessions. I'm not doing that. Okay. So what I did first is I just brain dumped in my agenda. I thought that by putting pen to paper and not typing it out on my phone will help me stay focused because when you're on your phone, you tend to click on other things. So my main focuses for Sunday initially were to do the laundry, get my son's clothes ready for the whole week, or at least look at the weather and make sure that all of those clothes are washed and at least folded or prepped or hung up if they're, jeans and stuff, and then map out my business content, not to the T, but just make a goal. How many posts do I want to put on each platform a week? How many emails do I want to send out a week? I need to look at my calendar. What do I need to set up for my clients this week? What needs to be created for my clients this week? Okay. So that is an example of an overview of my abundance list for the week. But of course, I get into more detail later. So now moving into the next segment, which is real life systems. I call this home and mom life. So again, because I know my husband is leaving and this day, my husband was supposed to get his brakes fixed the day before. The person who was supposed to do his brakes was not available, needless to say. So it put a damper in, okay, you got to drive far because of where we live to the brunch with your family. So just take the truck, leave the other car here. I don't have anywhere to go, but I need to make sure that I have everything at home so that I physically don't need to leave the house. Okay. I know they have Instacart and Uber Eats and all those things, but right now I just prefer to have everything at home. So I had already gone grocery shopping on Saturday. Only now, just so you know, in mom life, wife life, is I only shop, or I say only, I shop twice a week now. What this does for me, more of a inflation hack, is it does help me save money. I go to the warehouse like Sam's Club at least once a month or Costco once a month, maybe twice a month, depending on how long these kids are home, because that determines how much food is going to be left with 2 boys and a husband. But I try to go twice a week because food these days, if you have not noticed, talk back to me in the comment section, goes bad really, really fast. And that's also why I don't buy a lot of perishables from these bigger warehouses because we don't eat that much in like 3 or 5 days. I also like to buy certain things that are fresh, such as I sometimes will buy ground turkey that already has the ground turkey in the hamburger patty, Genio. And then I also like to buy our fish fresh. And so I do use another hack, and I'll link this down below for a free little coupon. I also use my Instacart app. Now, Instacart has its placement in my house, but I have noticed that specifically at the bigger warehouses, they inflate the prices like no other. And sometimes for me, ladies, I'm talking to you, because I'm overstimulated, working from home, being in my home, having kids in my home, having a husband in my home, spending most of my days in my home, sometimes the grocery store becomes a field trip for me where I will literally go to Starbucks. I will get me a refresher. Now they got the energy refreshers. Hello, spring. And then I will drink it. I will sit in the car of the parking lot. I will make sure that my grocery list is together. I will literally take my headphones, not soundproof on, because you got to be aware of your surroundings. And I will grocery shop because I also noticed that being outside, depending on the environment, is also overstimulating. I don't know if I'm just getting old, but I can go to Disneyland all day and hear all this music, but in certain environments, I'm overstimulated. So I will literally put on a podcast that is fun or somebody doing a travel vlog, but I've heard it before. So I just want to listen to their voice and I will listen to that while I'm grocery shopping. Probably too much information. But again, I'm just showing y'all how I get in state or get stuff done. So I use the Instacart app to add everything to the cart. So that way, when I go to the store, I'm not just walking around grabbing stuff. Okay. So for my budgeters or those who need to learn how to budget due to inflation right now or cost of living, that is a hack if you have the grocery store app on your phone. So this is where everything shifted when I got back home. Okay. So I got back in the kitchen. And at this point, I am, after me and my son eat or whatnot, I am, cooking. Okay. And I noticed that as I was like getting our dishes and putting it up, I noticed that the kitchen needed to be decluttered. And so I had just watched a video about 2 nights before, and the video was on what area of your home brings you peace when it's clean. It was talking about simplified systems. It was like a 15-minute video from a girl who usually do Amazon finds, and she was sharing a book that was sitting on her, shelf, and she hadn't read it. So for me, it actually is not my home office. I have a designated space on the lower floor of a 3-story like townhome. And it's a big size. It has a half size. I'm looking at it right now. It has a half size bathroom, a walk-in closet, but that's small, but enough to have all of my event supplies. And then the office is big enough for half of the office to have what you probably see on my YouTube video, that IKEA Kallax system with stuff behind me on the screen. If you're on our coaching calls and stuff, my desk, a chair. And then on the right side of me in the middle is just open space. I can dance and do all those kind of things that I used to do online. And then on the right side, it has stuff that you probably can never see, which is my son bike, the go-kart, stuff that cannot fit into the garage, party supplies, and hanging jackets that I take out the house or to events. Okay. So the room is big. But because this room stays for the most part organized, not ideal, but it stays organized, my office is not the place that actually no longer brings me peace. It's actually my kitchen. So I'm not talking about business ownership peace. I'm just talking about peace. Okay. I feel joy. I feel calm. I'm chill when this place is in order. It is my kitchen. The way our home is built is that our kitchen is on the second floor and it is attached to the living room / dining room area with another half bathroom and a balcony. So the reason why that place, if it is decluttered, brings me peace is because it is where we or me is mostly at all day. I actually do not prefer if I'm just on my laptop or I'm editing vlogs or doing something. I don't like to work in my office. I've been down here for 6 years. It's pretty, but I'm over it. It's isolative. It's hella cold, even if it's 100 degrees outside. And it's well lit. So I come down here to record videos, but outside of that, it just feels alone. Okay. So my kitchen is where we gather, but it's also where everything piles up. Like walk in the house, just throw the stuff on a big, because we have a very big island and a lot of cabinetry. Just throw it on an island, right? So I cleared it. My husband came downstairs getting prepared to leave, and he was like, wow, it looks thoroughly clean and sterile. And I'm like, sterile, like good? Because that's what I was going for, like clean, right? And he was like, no, like clean. I'm like, okay, I thought it was like sterile, like a hospital or something like that. And so he was like, no, it's good. Like you got rid of or just cleaned up a lot of stuff. So what I was noticing when I was cleaning up the kitchen was that cleaning off the clutter on the counter turned into me getting a wipe, wiping down the cabinets. My stuff ain't dirty, so it was easy for me to do it. But it also showed me how quickly I could do something when I'm in flow versus arguing against another version of myself who ain't in flow. Am I talking to you right now? You're trying to force yourself to do something. It doesn't have to be a household chore. It could be something at your job. It could be something in your business. It could be something for your health. And you are constantly just thinking about doing it. Therefore, you don't do it. So flow started to happen for me. And then I'm like, hey, I got to do laundry. I need to habit stack again. Habit stacking is doing more than one thing at a time. And some people will call it multitasking, but you need to do it in a way in which it is going to give you a return on investment in time later. So with laundry, you can put a load in and walk away. Okay. So I started the laundry. And while the laundry was going, I sat down and I asked my body and my mind, what do I feel like doing? This is key. Now, not every day of you running a business or having a job, you can't do this, right? Not necessarily. But if you own your business and you want to operate in flow, I would encourage you to start looking at what days each week, because it may change, may shift what you should be flowing on, and then do that thing for a certain period of time. It's called time blocking, so that you can be most productive and get it done. So I sat down and I edited a podcast. So this is where I came to more of a realization about my content. While I was editing my video audio podcast, I realized that I create my best content when I do what I'm doing right now. I just simply talk it out. There's no pressure to record a talking head video in which you're not going to even be looking at the screen. And what I also, even though I knew this, it just really settled in, is that when I am able to create, whether it's audio or video and audio, long form content, 15 minutes to an hour plus, it is easier for me to create carousels for social media because I'm teaching you something. I'm walking you through a process. I'm storytelling. If you read my carousels, I promise you, you will think that I'm talking directly to you because I am. I can post reels, short form videos. I can post about my ideas. I can take a carve out of it and put it in my stories. I'm just talking. And that is actually one of my gifts. And what's beautiful about long form content is as I'm talking it out, I can then later organize it, right? So let's talk about my content system, because this is what I took from all these things that start popping up when I was doing my long form content editing. And I want y'all to take notes if you need to. Because if you do long form content or even live streams on social media, you can actually do what I'm doing as long as you download the video. So I took my podcast. I went and grabbed the transcript. So I can take the transcript from 3 different places. I upload and record my podcast episodes. I'll link this platform below. It's really good for either live stream on YouTube, recording audio and or video podcasts, including interviewing. I use Riverside. So you can just start a free trial, down below. So I recorded in Riverside and you can click a button that says copy transcript. Now, let's just say I've uploaded a video or another audio podcast to Apple or to YouTube. Because it's my platform, I can go to Apple and click copy transcript, or I can go into YouTube on my YouTube studio and I can click a button that says copy transcript. So I grabbed those transcripts. I uploaded my IP, intellectual property, into AI because I'm talking. And then I told AI, I want you to take exactly what I said in these podcasts or masterclasses, and I want you to turn it into a 10-part carousel with a strong hook. And the hook needs to mention a step-by-step process, 5 steps, therapy math, whatever the case may be. I still give it guidance, but because I know what I'm uploading, because I know my episodes, I will then give it instruction and say, I want you to turn it into a 10 swipeable carousel, a reel with a blog style caption, but I want the blog style caption to come from maybe 1 or 2 points around this topic from my podcast. And then also, if you have any other ideas from this transcript, please tell me so we can map out my content for the week. Now, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I need to just talk. Like if you're a service provider, you talk all damn day, right? So why could you not just talk something out? I'm not saying you got to have a podcast, but I'm just saying you may be sitting on some gold if you do use your voice as a gift. Okay. So I realized that this is my content system. This can become my ecosystem if I'm paying attention. My intellectual property. I'm not just repurposing a 15-second video. I'm actually dicing up something that is 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour plus that can turn into weeks and months of content. And then to engage people, I use ManyChat automation where they can comment a word or comment a number, and then I take them to the audio or the video podcast. So what I finished in that one day as it relates to content, because some of y'all, I'm going to just, say this is your downfall in business. I don't know what to post. I'm out of ideas. I'm tired. I don't like to be online. You don't have to be online. We'll go into systems that I use and I'll make sure to link all of this below. I'm going to mention systems. If you do want information or tutorials on these systems, you just need to tell me on YouTube in the comment section so that I can show my face and actually do a tutorial. So this is what I was actually able to finish on Sunday. And let me be clear, I took breaks. I Netflixed. I was watching SWAT again. Okay. So I mapped out my entire week of content by 3:00. I scheduled 4 Instagram carousel posts, 5 stories. And then what's nice is whatever I posted on Instagram, I also posted on Facebook. And then I scheduled out 4 YouTube shorts. So I also made a goal to post, for example, Monday through Thursday, a certain amount of posts per day, 1 or 2 per the platform. And then I use my transcript in AI to tell me how many things to create. Of course, please do not just copy and paste what it gives you. I did have to go in there and do some small tweaks, but it still was giving what I said. Okay. So the tools that I use Metricool. It is used to schedule my posts. One of the things that I realized about 3 weeks ago is that because I know I get overstimulated by doom scrolling, laughing, finding videos that are funny, and then all of a sudden I'm sharing these videos with friends and family, my husband and all those things. And I look up and then it's like 30 minutes later, an hour later, which is not cool. Even if I have nothing to do, it's still not productive for my brain. Is if I can just schedule it on a platform, it will actually prevent me from scrolling. I don't even have to log into Instagram. All I got to do is upload my post and it will publish it, including my stories at the time that I designated it. I can put my caption. The only thing you cannot do is choose a trending reel sound. But for me, I have fallen in love personally with carousels because I love to teach. That may not be your thing, but if you don't mind not needing the trending audio or you talk in your videos, you can outright just upload it to this platform and schedule it out. I also use ManyChat for auto DMs. I'll link that below as well. It is a very inexpensive way to have a team member do some work for you by sending out links to things, including diverting people from your DM for clinical practice and for consultations. Okay. Like I said earlier, I record my podcast on Riverside with a click of a button. It can clean up my voice and make it sound crisp. It can remove or reduce background noise. If I'm doing a video podcast, I just learned this the other day, I can click a button and then it switches who the screen is on at random moments in time. It's not perfect, but it's cool because at the time of this recording, I am the editor of my podcast. So my big aha moment when it came down to content creation and especially podcasting. So as you notice, this is an audio podcast. I did upload it to YouTube, but again, I'm listening to the community. And a lot of the time, what I've noticed in the analytics, because I look at the numbers, is while people may say, oh, I wish you would just do another video, the analytics says something otherwise. It says that you don't even contain or watch the whole YouTube video, but you will retain a higher percentage of the audio podcast. Interesting. Which means that you're probably not looking at the screen. You're walking around, you're doing the dishes. So I personally have fallen back in love with audio podcast only. It doesn't mean that all of my stuff will be audio, but there are certain things like this that is more mindset, productivity, time management, inspiration that doesn't necessarily need to show my face. And another reason why I fell in love with audio podcasts is because, again, I don't believe that everybody's watching the way that they say they're visual learners. They're listening. So you're at the gym, you're cleaning up, you're driving. You don't always need to be on camera, people, okay? So let me share with you how this day ended because this was one of the biggest aha moments for me and my husband. So my husband was at the brunch. He was like, what are you doing? I made it, etc. And I said, oh, finishing up content for the whole week with a big like emoji with the big eyes. And he said, you need a break. And I said, nope. And this is why. I don't know how my energy is going to be tomorrow or the next day. He knows this. He sleeps right next to me. He hears me when I say I'm having one of those days. And I even had to teach him, you didn't do anything. I'm just having one of those days. And I'm going to use today for what it is. So I told him in so many words in my text message, this doesn't feel forceful. I'm actually enjoying it. And I have not been working this whole 6 hours. I take breaks. I do mindful eating. I'm watching SWAT. And then I will go upstairs. I will change out the laundry. I will fold a load and watch a Disney travel vlog. And then I come downstairs and I finish. Okay. So what all of this unlocked for me, because I used my energy that day, my content is done. My house is in order. My laundry is done. My kids are set up for the week, which means that during the week, I don't have to think about none of this shit. Excuse my language. Okay. I don't have to think about it. It is done. The only thing I need to look for, and it did happen this morning, if there is a glitch with one of these platforms, YouTube actually did it where it rejected my short. So not a problem. It's not like it's not on my computer. I'll just upload it manually. Not a big deal, right? So now that just told me, okay, YouTube shorts, I need to do another step. I just need to upload those videos to YouTube directly. And that's easy because I'm not scrolling over there and I'll just schedule it. Not a big deal. I can do that today in literally 15 minutes. So I don't have to feel forced to do something on a day that I don't want to do it. And when I looked at my calendar, this was by far one of the biggest flexes. Matter of fact, let me pick up my phone. Let me share with y'all what I got planned for this week. It is the week of April 20th that I'm recording this, okay? So I did all that on April 19th. So today I had a team meeting. My team member came over because she just moved back from out of state. And we had like a 2-hour, like, let's set up the month and actually let's set up the whole rest of the second quarter plus July, because July is a busy month for me as a mom. So let's just look at a rough draft of what our schedule is going to be, our event schedule for the end of the year. Let's just go crazy, right? So we met, but I also had a therapy client this morning. Outside of that, dropped my son off at school. I'm good. On Tuesday, I go to my son's football practice. That's it. On Wednesday, nothing. On the 23rd, I meet with a group of clinicians to help them launch their therapy groups in their clinical practice. So that is a 1 hour, around and about, maybe 75-minute call. That's it. But my son has football practice. But I mean, just one call. On Friday, I have a one-on-one coaching call. And then because I have room for it, and I checked my email this morning, I actually was invited to have, I am so excited, but I cannot release anything yet. But just send a good prayer out for me. I have a huge opportunity for a big brand collaboration. And so I'm going to have that brand collaboration conversation meeting on Friday, but I had a room to be able to do it. And then on Saturday, my son has a game. That's all I got this week. So if we were looking at it from a business perspective, I had a therapy client today in a team meeting. On Thursday, that's Monday. On Thursday, I have a coaching call for about 75 minutes. And then on Friday, I have a one on one coaching call with one of our mastermind clients and a brand collaboration call. That, if we add it up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 hours of work. Now, what does this give me the opportunity to do? So let's be all the way real. If I have the energy to edit another podcast episode that is going out next week, I'll find my day of being in flow and then I'll put it on the calendar for that day. I'll read my energy that day. But the fun things I can do, I can go to Sephora or Ulta to walk around, find some makeup. I can go to my favorite place, Hobby Lobby. My son this morning said, Mom, can we go to Walmart today? Sure. You don't have football practice. I don't have anything to do. Let's go to Walmart and walk around and I can look at the home stuff and the spring stuff. Get out the house because I'm working from home a lot and I'm home a lot. It may not look like that online, but I am home a lot and I enjoy it, but to a certain extent. Okay. But this gives me space to enjoy life. Isn't that why we went into business? Isn't that why we went into our career choice? Isn't that why we set up our life in the way that it is to be able to have an abundant life? So here is where I'm at in my current season. So I don't have immediate family within a 40-mile radius. I do have one family member, but they work full time at a college and at a big corporation that I will not mention. So with that in mind, because I don't stay within a particular radius of family, I need to, and my husband needs to stay in a radius to make sure that somebody is home just in case the school calls or our kid gets out of school early. So it doesn't mean me and my husband have not have, morning Disney dates or let's go to get something to eat and have a money date. We've done that, but it's not a lot. It's not like I could do it every Tuesday because of the way our schedule lands, especially with our eldest being in high school as well and going to school in another district and having a completely different schedule. But I still want to feel good. I still want to have good energy. I still want to enjoy life. So I have to make sure that I'm operating at a state of abundance and not lack, and that I'm not focused on what I don't have access to, but taking full advantage of what I do have access to. Let me know in the comment section if that stands out for you. Are you constantly focusing on what you do not have? Or are you creating a way to figure out how to have more? So how I wrapped up my Sunday, I mapped out my team meeting that I had today, put it in some notes so that we can also keep track of what we're talking about every team meeting. You should do that for a corporation. Hello, any type of business has notes. And like I said, we brought back in-person meetings. We brought back what's called weekly sprints, which means that I create a goal for certain parts of our business. So to give you some insight, and again, if you enjoy particular nuggets that I've shared, tell me what you want me to do specifically in a hyper specific topic video, and I will do that. Like I'm talking about weekly sprints. So if you want me to do something on what that looks like, I will. So our focus on those weekly sprints, for example, I type it out. It's pretty easy. What are our sales goals for the week? What are our product focus highlights, or what am I going to be talking about through email marketing or social media or podcasts this week? What are we going to be focusing on with client delivery this week? So for example, because I have a coaching call that is with a group of clinicians on Thursday, I need to review my slides by Wednesday, which means that if we reverse engineer it, my team needs to make sure that they look at the final revision by Tuesday so I can review it on Wednesday and have them prepared to present and go in the portal after the call on Thursday. Okay. So here's my closing thought. I am learning that my rhythm is not the same every day. My energy is not the same every day. And I'm okay with that because when I am in flow, I can get more done in one day than forcing myself all week. So let me know in the comment section below, what was your biggest takeaway? If you want, again, any specific tutorials on anything I mentioned, whether it's systems, look at the description box, tell me. If you want to try out any of those systems, let me know. Check out the description box for any resources. Just a few announcements. We do have a live event. This is the only public event that we are having at this time all year, June 1st. If you're a therapist and you would like to launch a digital product and you have a capacity problem in terms of you have not found time to do it, to even map out the launch, figure out what digital product you want to launch. We will be hosting a live event for one day on June 1st in Brooklyn. So if you would like tickets for that, if tickets are still available, check out the description box and it will take you to the registration page. Read through it if it's a good fit, and you can come for the whole event. Make sure you sign up. Right now, at the time of this recording, we are still in the early bird phase of ticket sales, which means that the ticket sales will double. You can see all that information on the page, but this is a container that we have been hosting since 2018, at least once a year. And we have done it in New York before, but not as often, especially a one-day event. We have not done this type of event in New York actually ever since 2022. Everything else is within our coaching programs and our mastermind communities, and those are our only live events that are like not for the public. Okay. Let me know your biggest takeaway and check the description box for any other resources. I would love to have you back. If you like motivational, inspirational content like this, plus masterclasses, tutorials, and business education as it relates to being a service provider and having a profitable business and an abundant life, then stay tuned, subscribe to the podcast. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, follow the podcast, but definitely connect with us on YouTube. Sometimes some of the podcasts are only on audio. It depends. But most of the time, we have a lot more content on YouTube just because of the work that I do with clients, including therapist interviews. You can put a face to a name and all the things. So subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will talk to y'all in the next podcast. All right, bye.